So, you're finally awake. That's a relief. I was beginning to get bored. The books I have are important. They tell me what I need to know, and I must keep reading. But I've been too excited to read. I found you. After years of searching, I found you. I found you a long time ago, but now you're here. Right here. With me. And with nowhere to run. Don't get up. Please. I see it. You didn't say a word, but I see it. The way your eyes keep going back to the door. Look at me instead. Doctor, I said, look at me. Ah, there it is. The first thing I ever saw. You standing over the table, looking down at me. You were making the exact same face you are right now. Don't look away. Focus. Eyes here. Keep them here. You've been running from me for so long, running ever since we met, since I can remember. But now I have you, and you will listen to what I have to say. I will not hurt you here tonight. I do not want to hurt you tonight. But what I will do is sit you back down in that chair if you try to leave, and if you try it again, I will sit you down and chain you to it. Chain's right there on the table, and I left it where you could see it. I thought you might figure out that I could have used it already and decided not to. I thought you'd figure out that I don't want to force you to face me. That instead I wanted you to face me. By choice. That's what I thought you'd figure out. But apparently, if you're not in a laboratory surrounded by expensive equipment and pages full of instructions, you're no more intelligent than the people in the nearest village. Which is far, by the way. You would be running all night. You would be. If I let you. But we both know I'd run you down before you ever hit your stride. With your little bird legs. I know I don't need to tell you about my legs. Handpicked for their perfection. Quite literally. And because your eyes are weak and your equipment was inferior, you knew you would never be able to correctly assemble a body of average size. So being logical, you grafted extra tissue. You surgically fused 2 tibias to make one larger tibia, 2 index fingers to make one index finger. Sawed, snapped, split down the middle, padded the interior with muscle and fat to retain the shape you wanted for each piece. Kept the tissue the limbs in jars and tanks, soaking in spinal fluid, live enough to heal, to grow together, strong enough as if it had always been together. Repeated the process for nearly every major appendage, organ, and system. In the end, everything was proportionally gigantic. It's all here. Right here in your notebook. Exactly how you did it. Down to the number of individual stitches. Right here in these pages. A truly astounding scientific and surgical achievement, I'll give you that, Doctor. But in hindsight, it might have been faster and a little more practical to get yourself some glasses instead. You spent years, the better part of your time at the university. And your project could have been completed at least a year early if you had just gotten... What is this? What am I doing? What's happening to me? Why is that so funny? I asked you a question, Victor. Why is that funny to me? Why do I find things funny? I wondered that myself the first time I ever laughed. It was a few months back when I was reading that part of your notes, when I realized that the entire reason I'm built like a grizzly bear is because you didn't want to admit you needed glasses. Oh, come on, Doctor, don't insult my intelligence. That was a bonehead move. I mean, look at the fire over there. You notice how I wanted to keep this cabin warm after nightfall. So I chopped some small logs, stuck them in the wood stove, and lit a small fire. You notice how when I wanted to keep warm, I didn't burn down the entire cabin and the forest outside along with it? Next time you make a decision, I encourage you to try that method. I call it using your entire brain, not just the part that does the math. As I was saying, the first time I laughed, I didn't know what was happening. Was I having a seizure, a nervous breakdown? Was I dying? I didn't find the answer in these books, Victor. I have a stack of books from your old lab in that bag over there. I didn't find it in any of those either. I read more information about the earthworm than I'll ever actually need to know, but there wasn't a book, a notebook, or a single scrap of paper in your lab that mentioned laughter. When I calmed down and took a few deep breaths, something happened. I sat in that chair, same chair you're using now, and like a lantern being lit, I knew what it was. It was laughter. I had been laughing, laughing at something I had thought was funny. Funny. I even knew the word. Funny. How did that happen? It was a while before I realized how I knew these things. I remembered them. That's how I found out what was happening to me. In the end, no one taught me about laughter. No one taught me, not even myself, because I didn't learn it. I remembered it without trying. You see that thing over there in the corner? That wooden thing with the metal strings and the knobs and the hole in the middle of it. It was left by the ones who... It was there when I found this place. It's called a guitar. Any books about the guitar in your old lab, Doctor? I know there weren't any, idiot. I read them all. Every last one. I can play it, you know. The guitar. Not very well, I'll admit. If I took it to a bar and tried to play for the people there, I'd get pelted with rocks and pieces of animal shit picked up off the ground. Just like I did when I tried getting food from the village. Just the one time. One look at me was all they needed. I was naive then. I saw the food, saw the people grabbing it. I must have missed the part where they paid for it, because when I grabbed some, they stopped me, yanked the cloak's hood off my head. The screams, Doctor. If you could have heard them. You ever been so hungry that you break into a barn in the middle of the night and start tearing into the throat of the nearest pig? And then another one of the pigs sees you and knows what you're doing to its friend. Well, pretend for a second that you've had to do that at some point, and that you know the sound that that second pig makes. Now imagine being in the middle of a village marketplace surrounded by 40 men, women, and children, making the same sound. Over and over. Imagine running from them. Imagine what it's like to feel regret, humiliation, and fear without knowing what they are. Imagine being out of breath from running without knowing what it means to be out of breath. Imagine crying without knowing what sadness is. Imagine feeling lonely the very second you remember what it is to be alone. And finally, after seeing so much beauty in the world, with its trees, birds, flowers, houses filled with happy, beautiful people, seeing the sky filled with feathery clouds and a warm sun. I want you to imagine how it feels to look into a mirror for the very first time and remember a word you never read in a book. Ugly. 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 These are the things I wanted to tell you, Doctor. Please understand, I use the word doctor very loosely here. I know you're not a real doctor. You never finished that school of yours. I only call you doctor because I don't have another word for you. Father seems wrong. God feels like an even worse title. If you were either one of those, you never would have left. If you were either one of those, you could look at me without making that face. That is all I have to say, Doctor. You are free to go. The sun will be coming up soon. Follow it until you reach that village I told you about. Someone there will be able to point you back to Geneva. I won't stop you. And I know you're either smart enough or frightened enough not to tell anyone about me. Otherwise, you'd have done it already. When I'm convinced that you're far enough away to make it on your own, I'm going to sleep. I've been awake all night waiting to have this talk with you. And besides, I've learned not to try and get out much after sunrise. That's when bad things happen. So no, I won't be following you. It's pointless anyway. After I learned to read these notes, the first thing I did was go and see you at your home in Geneva. Before I came back to this place, I saw you there. I saw everyone. Your friend Henry Clerval, your father Alphonse, your little brother William, and your beloved Elizabeth. I saw everything, Doctor. I know everything. I know which window is yours. I can see it from inside the trees. I know just where to climb. But you've had enough of a shock for one night, so go. Leave me. And know that when it's time for us to talk again, I'll do exactly what I did tonight, and you'll wake up right back here. Just like tonight. Good night.